Name is Janet Camacho. I am from Mexico City, and I'm currently a student from the ANSA and Foothill College. This time, I would like to share with you more information about the impact of oil spills in the marine environment. Let's begin for understand the definition of crude oil. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, crude oil is the liquid remains of ancient plants and animals that has been under the ocean floor for many years ago. Once it became a very valuable element, the oil companies began to drill down the ocean and pump it out until get the crude oil. After they transport it through pipes, ships, trains to the refineries to be processed and converted in the elements that we daily use, such as fuel, plastics, asphalts, and many more items that we have at home. Unfortunately, the high demand of this natural element has led oil spills in the ocean. These are declassified as small and large spills. The small spills are the most common that has been consistent for decades and are the less that we can hear in news and in social media. This happens when ships are refilled of gas oil, causing oil escape. Also leaks in transportation, such as ships or boats, leaks during the drilling, and in some other cases the natural spills, which are named ship oil. It happens by the natural destruction of the sedimentary rocks from the bottom of the ocean that can cause oil spills. So here's one picture that shows you the leaking of in transportation, and here is another picture in the bottom that shows you the natural spills. Let's talk about the large oil spills. These are the most mentioned in the news and in social media because it's a huge problem in our environment. This is caused by pipelines that had been broken, ship oil tankers are broken, or explosions that have happened under the ocean, and sometimes the drilling under the ocean goes wrong. As you can see in this chart from NOAA, they make a record of the largest oil spills. It was recorded since 1969 to 2017. And you can see here in the gray spots that the size of the oil spills. And here you can see the million of gallons that is spilled in those years. Sadly, the biggest oil spill was named Deepwater Horizon. It happened on April 20th in 2010. The cause of this spill was explosion during the drilling, and it happens in the Gulf of Mexico. The effect is that brings 134 million gallons of oil spill in the ocean, and this spill lasted per weeks. It wasn't easy to clean up the ocean. So here's a picture prior to the explosion, and they detect in the next picture how the leaking was happening, and sadly at the end the explosion. So what environmental negative effects brings these oil spills? One of these is oiling or fueling, which means that marine animals got covered in oil. For example, the feathers of birds absorb oil and they cannot fly. Also, the others fairy got soaked on oil, and for them it's difficult to regulate their temperature because of the oil, so that caused to them hypothermia. And very sadly, they don't survive. Not just that is the problem, it's also the problem of oil toxicity. These are huge and high toxicity elements, and has caused death of fish, birds, and mammals. Also, death of coral reefs, that, as you know, is the principal source of food for fish, also affects the seafood that we consume as a humans. And the cost of gold is really affected, and the tourism is not allowed. Like I mentioned before, sadly 11 persons died due to this explosion. And here you can see the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. You can see a lot of spills around, and they found a lot of dead fish. So not just that problem. Recently this year we have another spill. It happens on August 16 of this year, and it happened in the Indian Ocean nearby the island of Mauritius. They suffered a huge leaking of diesel and oil spill due to the ship that split in two parts. And many animals as well were affected, and very sadly because of COVID-19 was very slow response to this problem. So as you can see here, and the ship is part in two, and many volunteers, and after some time the government allowed them to clean up the ocean. And many people work in this area to make sure to help the environment in India. So how they clean up the ocean? The U.S. Coast Guard here in U.S. is in charge of cleaning spills, and NOAA provides scientific support in order to make the best decisions and help the government to decide what they can do and what they cannot do in order to avoid more harm in our environment. Some methods that they use is bombs. These are barriers that allow them to avoid the spreading of the oil. Another device are skimmers. This scheme attracts and absorbs the oil, and in some cases they burn the oil to disperse the chemicals of the petroleum, but they don't use it and they try to avoid it very often because of the air pollution. They also do chemical release to break down the oil. As you can see here, there is some pictures of the skimming, release of chemicals, the use of bombs, and some burning around. These are some clean methods. So what can we do? At this moment, I would like to encourage you to think about the problems that we're facing due to the oil spills. And I would like to think about as well about the things that you have in your home. Most of them are made of petroleum. So it's very important that we can do something in our homes. And maybe one idea can be recycled. If we have some items that are possible to recycle, we can do that. Also, we can visit, if we visit the ocean, the coast, we can help to clean up around. And I was thinking as well, if you are owner of a boat or car, give the adequate maintenance and make sure it's not leaking oil. Also avoid use plastic bags because these are mainly made of petroleum. Another thing that we can do as well is just use our car when it's really necessary, because fuel is the main source for production of fuel is the petroleum. So in these situations we can do some help. And thank you for listening. And here I post some reference in case if you wanna go deep to the topic. And thank you for listening. Have a nice day.